Right now on Fox 13 News at 9, a rising problem on Utah streets with deadly consequences.
An Ogden woman is thankful to be alive after she was hurt in a hit and run this morning. Unfortunately, this is one of many within the last week.
Plus, a grim warning from Utah Senator Mitt Romney tonight.
They do not share our values. They do not share our objectives as a country.
Reports of Chinese intelligence working right here inside Utah.
Tracking hot and dry conditions, how long this pattern will last.
Okay, he's kind of behind that rock there, isn't he?
A lack of planning and oversight, or maybe just inexperience.
All of the ones this weekend were pretty involved in pretty major operations.
What rescue crews say keeps happening in Utah's backcountry during these hot summer days.
And the Salt Lake Bees are on the front lines of changing the game of baseball forever.
Each pitch is important.
What they're doing behind the plate that has everyone watching very closely.
Live from Utah's news leader, Fox 13 News at 9 starts right now.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Evans.
And I'm Kelly Chapman. We are tracking two big stories tonight. Utah's two U.S. senators are demanding answers after reports of Chinese intelligence outposts operating in the U.S., including in Salt Lake City.
And we're tracking a recent rise in hit-and-run incidents in Utah that are causing a lot of concern. From January 1st of this year to July 10th, there have been 3,331 hit-and-runs. The Utah Highway Patrol says that's an 800 case increase between this year and last year.
Within the last week, there have been a handful of these incidents that have left Utahns injured or dead.
One Ogden woman was injured by a fleeing driver just this morning while volunteering with her church.
Fox 13 News reporter Emily Tenser has the data to show whether hit-and-runs are on the rise.
Bernice Hester is now at home recovering after a hit-and-run literally knocked the shoes off her feet.
Just the excruciating pain. That's the only thing I could think of. And just wondering what had happened.
On the second and fourth Monday of every month, the Second Baptist Church here in Ogden hosts a food bank, and that's what she was volunteering for here near 27th and Lincoln when she saw a car driving too fast.
He clipped me on the left side, pinned me just for a few seconds against the parked vehicle, and then it spun me around.
In the 4 minutes since the 911 call came in, Ogden police officers were able to find that driver.
To hit my mom and to just not stop, it's upsetting.
57-year-old Timothy Reynolds was arrested for allegedly driving under the influence and fleeing an accident. Hester went to the hospital with minor injuries.
We had a blessed outcome, but there was somebody this week that didn't.
Within the past 9 days, a Centerville cyclist was ran over on the first, pedaling home from a fireworks show. Exactly a week ago, a man on a scooter died in the Rose Park neighborhood. Salt Lake City police believe that hit and run was intentional. And just Sunday morning, a 59-year-old man was riding his bike near Redwood Road and Indiana Avenue, where he was also hit and killed. Police are searching for that driver.
At least pull over and see if the person's all right, but it is very alarming. And seems to be getting worse.
It is. Data from UHP shows the number of hit and runs continues to grow each year. These numbers include any crash where someone did not remain at the scene or report the incident. Hester didn't want to be one of those numbers, but she's thankful she's alive.
I'll be right back out there the fourth Monday. So, hopefully.
In Ogden, Emily Tenser, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Several U.S. senators, including those representing Utah, are demanding answers from the U.S. Attorney General on reported Chinese intelligence centers all over the country, including here in Utah.
Fox 13 News reporter Jenna Bree has been looking into this and joins us live in studio tonight. Jenna, what are the implications regarding national security?
That's right. Senators Mitt Romney and Mike Lee joined those from several other states like Texas, North Carolina, and Missouri, signing a letter to the Attorney General expressing concerns about service centers in the U.S. that are run by the Chinese Communist Party. I spoke with one of our state representatives who's been pushing back on Chinese influence in the U.S. for the last 3 years about what this all means.
We have had our guard down. And we're kidding ourselves if we think that China is our best friend and that they have America's interests at heart, which they absolutely do not.
Representative Candice Perucci recently passed a bill prohibiting the Chinese Communist Party from buying land in Utah. But she says there needs to be a national response to Chinese intelligence centers.
It's reactionary. We're playing whack-a-mole. And China has been able to weasel their way into subnational politics and communities because of a lack of a national approach to this.
Perucci says the Chinese Communist Party works through nonprofits, using service centers as a front.
The Chinese Communist Party is going way beyond that of a diplomatic mission here, and where they're able to keep an eye on Chinese nationals who are living in our country, to try to pressure and influence local communities, and going way beyond what is described as their diplomatic mission.
In the letter, the senators wrote, "The Department of Justice has warned that China's Ministry of Public Security conducts covert intelligence and national security operations far beyond China's borders, including illicit transnational repression schemes on U.S. soil."
The Chinese Communist Party has a long list of egregious human rights violations, individual freedom violations. You could go through a long list. They do not share our values. They do not share our objectives as a country. And we need to make sure that we know exactly what's going on our own soil and in our state.
In the letter, the senators requested the Department of Justice answer several questions about investigating any illegal activity, demanding a response by the end of this month. I reached out to both Utah senators and the DOJ, but did not hear back. Reporting live in studio, Jenna Bree, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Jenna, thank you. Today, the Weber County Attorney's Office released body camera video and the 911 call from a deadly shooting involving Ogden police officers last month.
Take a look at this.
Police, don't move! 4-1, shots fired, shots fired.
Well, the suspect was 23-year-old Alex Lopez, who was on parole at the time for an attempted murder that occurred in 2018 out of Davis County. The 911 call says that Lopez and some of his friends entered a bar in Ogden. When the caller noticed they had a gun, they left before police arrived on scene. Officers located the suspect's vehicle and attempted to do a traffic stop when they fled the area. When police found the vehicle again, 2 individuals were standing outside, and Lopez fired 5 rounds at officers. Those officers returned fire, killing Lopez, but the second suspect fled on foot and still has not been found.
Christopher Allred with the Weber County Attorney's Office says, quote, "The investigation involves the ongoing gathering and analysis of evidence, interviewing witnesses, and it takes time to carefully and accurately develop. Sharing it could take at least a month before the investigation is finalized."
Funeral services have been announced for 2 members of the Davis County Sheriff's Office killed in a motorcycle crash just last week. Memorial and interment services for Corporal Stephen Lewis and Deputy Jennifer Turner will be held this Friday at the D Event Center and the Brigham City Cemetery, respectively. The public is welcome at both of those services. The pair were off duty when they crashed head-on into a pickup truck on July 3rd.
It was quite a scene in Sugar House today when a Jeep crashed through the front of a store. Happened just before noon at Loft. That's a women's clothing store near 1100 East, 2100 South. Police say a newer driver was practicing in the parking lot when they accidentally mistook the gas pedal for the brake and went right through the storefront.
I do know that the building was evacuated because they couldn't get the car to turn off in the beginning. And then obviously, as you can see, there's some pretty extensive damage in here. So out of abundance of caution, I believe that the business chose to get the people out of there.
Nobody in the car or the store was hurt.
We are tracking 2 fires in central Utah tonight. The first is a new blaze that started just a few hours ago. It's called the Farron Mountain Fire. It's located up Farron Canyon near Wrigley Reservoir Road. So far, it's burned 2 acres. Fire crews say it was naturally caused and it's burning in sparse timber right now. Firefighters are working on this one into the evening hours. Also a fire now burning along I-70 after the Moab Valley Fire Department says a vehicle rollover ignited surrounding brush. This is happening about 15 miles east of the Utah-Colorado border. State fire officials say it has burned 50 to 75 acres. I-70 was briefly closed in this area. It has since reopened.
The state of Utah is asking all its eligible employees to work remotely through Wednesday. That's because of forecasted air quality problems and the hot temperatures. As you know, the state authorized eligible employees to work from home to help reduce ozone and inversion-induced pollution. The state also hopes remote work will serve as an example for private employers to do the same with their employees.
That's two whammies, the extreme heat and now the poor air quality. What's it looking like outside? I feel it in my throat.
Yeah.
I started to cough. I keep getting these little scratches,
scratches
Allison.
in your throat.
Yeah, so our air quality the next couple of days, unhealthy for sensitive groups. And in addition to the heat and air quality, we also have our UV index at the extreme level for tomorrow. High pressure continues to be the main story for us here out west, and what that means for you is we've got a lot of heat and a lot of sunshine over the next couple of days. Last few days, yesterday was 100 degrees, today we made it to 97, so we've had 2 triple-digit days this year. Temperatures right now here across the state, many of us close to 80 to 90 degrees right now, with our wind a lot calmer than it was earlier this evening. We head into tonight in the overnight hours. We have mostly clear sky, a little bit of a light breeze, maybe up to about 10 to 15 miles per hour. Temperatures dropping into the 70s after midnight tonight. Notice only low 70s for the overnight temperatures into early tomorrow morning. So we're going to have a mild start for your Tuesday with temperatures heading into Tuesday morning. Close to 70 for Ogden, mid 60s for Provo, upper 60s for Tooele, mid 70s for Salt Lake City. St. George close to 80 tomorrow morning. We'll take a look at your air quality forecast for the next couple of days and also how long this heat will last.
Some good news to report when it comes to flooding in Salt Lake County. I'll explain coming up.
Heading out on a hike this summer, bring water. You've heard that before, right? But this might not be enough. I'm Amy Nan. I'll have the full story on how you can stay safe.
And umpires are getting high-tech help on the baseball diamond.
Anything above the belt is not even close to being a strike now. So it's very eye-opening.
How a new automated system monitors the strike zone for the Salt Lake Bees.
The Jazz continue Summer League play in Las Vegas. And how about Sam Merrill, the former Utah State Aggie, scoring big time for the Cavaliers?
It is baseball season, and the umpire has always played a major role in baseball as a constant in officiating America's favorite pastime, always making important calls. Until now.
Yeah, there is a change in the works that could lead to technology not only giving umpires a hand, but potentially replacing them entirely. The experiment is going on right here in Salt Lake City.
Scripps News correspondent Maritza Giorgio has the story from Smith's Ballpark.
It's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out. Or was that a ball?
We have our first challenge here at Smith's Ballpark.
You heard that right. A challenge on a strike in baseball. Unheard of.
I'm used to the umpires calling balls and strikes, but also I'm used to when the umpires call it a ball or a strike. It's either this or that. There's no in between.
Up until now, Hawkeye technology being tested at AAA ballparks, the highest level of minor league baseball, aims to call balls and strikes with more precision.
I know it just seems like a 9-inning game for a fan, but when you actually kind of dive into the game within the game, each pitch is important.
The technology basically takes what home viewers see as a graphic on TV and turns it into a real-time experience for players, coaches, and umpires. It's all about the strike zone.
It's the most important piece of real estate in our game.
Daniel Murphy would know. The 3-time MLB All-Star came out of retirement earlier this year and signed a minor league deal with the Angels in June.
I'm not opposed to change. We're an entertainment industry, and if the public isn't enjoying our product, then we need to make it more entertaining.
And it is a change for AAA teams this season. For one, the ABS technology reduced the size of the strike zone.
It's a lot tighter side to side, and it's a lot tighter north and south, especially the top of the zone. Normally the top of the zone was viewed as like maybe the belly button, but anything above the belt is not even close to being a strike now. So it's very eye-opening.
When you're talking about an absolute strike zone, those millimeters and centimeters, they make a huge difference, especially for me as a pitcher.
AAA teams are also testing 2 ways of using the technology, which relies on multiple cameras. Tuesdays through Thursdays, the ABS system calls every ball. On the weekends, umpires call the pitches, but a team gets 3 challenges per game.
The challenge is really fun too, and they put it up on the scoreboard and it shows the ball coming down and replay, and it builds a lot of tension seeing the ball get closer to the strike zone.
Here's how the challenge works. If a catcher, pitcher, or batter thinks an ump's call was wrong, they tap their head. They have to do it within 2 seconds of the call. They can't look back at the dugout.
It gives the players a little bit of ownership too. There's some strategy to it, whether you use it early in a game, what type of count, what situation with guys on base, so that plays a lot into it.
Within about 20 seconds, an ABS tech in the video boardroom launches an animation that shows where the ball passed through the strike zone. An automated system relays the call to an umpire through their earpiece.
Failed challenge by Ford.
They're good about challenges. They don't get their feelings hurt or anything because they want to get it right just as much as we want them to be right.
The art of umpiring, which is not talked about a whole lot because it's made to be about the players and things like that, but these guys have a craft as well. They work hard at it.
So is this technology ready to take the field in big league play?
Every Bees player we talked to here in Salt Lake City agree the challenge system is the future.
Guys in there generally like the challenge system better just because there is that human element. Framing still matters. The umpires are still calling the game, but they're held accountable at the same time. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Creates a little bit of fan excitement,
Fan reactions are a mixed bag.
As a human, we make errors, so that's play the game perfectly.
It takes away the human part of it, but the bad calls that ruin a game for you aren't fun.
I'm not a fan of it.
Players and coaches we talked to said you can still be a baseball purist and embrace the change.
It's still the same baseball we know to love, just speeding it up a little bit, making it more entertaining for a younger generation.
The game has always changed, and there's always room for an improvement. But you have to do it within respect to the past and how the game was played.
Maritza Giorgio, Scripps News, Salt Lake City.
Well, we've got a beautiful evening right now. Still a little warm outside, but a gorgeous view from Deer Valley. Looking down towards, this is Bald Mountain right here, where the camera is facing down towards Jordanelle. So facing west right now. Love to see a full view there. Great after seeing last summer how low it was. And then still in the 90s here in Salt Lake City. So it's quite warm right now, 106 in Phoenix. A lot of the country colder than it has been here out west. Maybe colder isn't the right term. A little more mild across the country, not as hot as us here out west, as we're in the middle of quite the heat wave, especially down into Arizona with no end in sight. Temperatures right now, 81 for Provo, 88 if you're joining us from Ogden. Mid 80s right now for the Cache Valley, 81 for Vernal, 60s for Evanston. Feeling really nice there. 90 in Hanksville, 97 currently in St. George. For the Wasatch Front tomorrow morning, morning drive, low 70s. Tomorrow evening, a hot afternoon. Temperatures mid to upper 90s for tomorrow. We're under mostly clear sky, much calmer conditions than we had earlier today. It was quite windy, especially down towards Milford and Cedar City. Temperatures into tomorrow morning, Tuesday. Pausing this at 5 a.m. because if you want to beat the heat tomorrow, you'll want to get outside early in the day. Obviously, no, 5 o'clock isn't doable for all of us, especially if we're still up right now at 9:22. We've got temperatures that are going to quickly climb tomorrow and the next couple of days becoming rather hot. So high pressure is our main story here out west through the next several days. And then we even take you through at least about the 20th of July, and we're still going to have high pressure dominating the story. Possibly a few isolated showers here or there into next week, but generally speaking, a hot and dry 7-day and likely 2-week forecast. For the Wasatch Front tomorrow, a Tuesday morning, low 70s at 6 a.m. By 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, we're closer to 80 degrees. And then we're going to see our temperatures tomorrow into the 90s at lunchtime. For St. George, you're going to make it into the 90s also by about 11 a.m. And then your temperatures tomorrow around 105 for a high. So tomorrow at 4 p.m., I do want to give you a heads up. There is the chance for some isolated storms into southeastern Utah, but most of us will be dry heading into Tuesday tomorrow. Very similar to today, we're tracking a lot of sunshine, some haze. Summer ozone is typically worse during the afternoon, so if you can get out early, that's a great time to enjoy the cooler temperatures, the better air quality, and also the UV index, which will be extreme. So you kind of make it the best for all of the conditions if you can get out early tomorrow, if you want to exercise outdoors. Temperatures in St. George, dangerous getting into this weekend. Look at this. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, close to 110 to 115. For the Wasatch Front, we are mid to upper 90s through much of the 7-day forecast. By Sunday, Monday, close to 100 degrees. Your 2-week temperature outlook is coming up in your Super 7-day forecast. We'll be right back.
The Utah STEM Center and Loveland Living Planet Aquarium are partnering for an early math learning campaign.
It's meant to inspire parents to help their preschoolers learn early math lessons. The STEM Action Center team developed a scavenger hunt for parents to use as they explore Loveland Living Planet Aquarium. Sounds like a fun summer day trip, doesn't it? Yeah, the scavenger hunt consists of simple questions that caregivers can ask children, such as what shape is a sea turtle's shell, and how many penguins are standing, and how many are lying down.
Most people know that reading with your kids is important. Most people don't know that early math is actually the most direct predictor of early reading.
Yeah, how about that?
Yeah.
They go hand in hand. Lately at my house, I've got a son who just turned 10. We've been doing the multiplication facts drills.
Have you?
That
Yes.
kind of occupies our car time these days. But those questions that I just gave you and others align with the Utah Core Curriculum standards for 3 to 4-year-olds. You got to start them young.
Salt Lake County's mayor declares an end to the state of emergency for flooding, but the danger isn't over yet.
We already see businesses choosing to relocate to this area, establish successful businesses.
One of Salt Lake City's biggest street reconstruction projects in history is coming to an end. I'll show you how this has reshaped the community.
Is this all you bring for a hike this summer? I talked to the experts down in southern Utah who are saving a lot of people for not bringing enough water. I'm Amy Nail. I'll have that story coming up.
Real Salt Lake's playing great right now, creating a different sense among the club. Coach Pablo Mastroeni will tell us what that is coming up.
Our flood emergency is over, and I am thrilled to declare that.
It was a big announcement today from Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson.
And while the massive snowpack did cause some flooding, overall, Utah's most populous county dodged a bullet.
Fox 13 News political reporter Ben Winslow has more from Murray.
Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson ended the state of emergency for flooding, thanking residents who turned out to help fill over 500,000 sandbags.
We're best in this community when neighbors help neighbors. The COVID emergency, we saw division. This flood emergency, we saw unity.
A record-breaking winter prompted flooding fears.
Our work protected homes, businesses, and resulted in very minimal damage. And I'm very happy that we had no loss of human life.
Crews worked around the clock to keep debris out of waterways. Mother Nature helped out with a relatively slow snowmelt. But Salt Lake County and the state of Utah as a whole also made big infrastructure changes following the catastrophic floods of 1983. To give you an idea how much these infrastructure changes have helped, in 1983, flooding caused over $1 billion in damages. Today, Salt Lake County recorded only $4 million in damages.
What a dramatic difference. We learned from 1983 that we needed to build some infrastructure.
There are still a few reservoirs spilling. That being said, we've seen pretty much the tail end of our runoff for most parts of the state.
Candace Hassenjager, who heads Utah's Division of Water Resources, says we saw a massive amount of snowfall. Some of it is still melting.
Over half of the streams right now are running at above average conditions, where last year at this time, only 2% was running at above average conditions.
While the risk has lessened, Salt Lake County's flood control director says you still need to be careful.
Going into July and through August, there'll still be a lot of water in the creek, so just be aware to keep small children and pets in close eye and keep them away.
And with hot temperatures here, demand for water is increasing again, and it's time to start talking about conservation.
We really don't know what's going to happen next year. We are all grateful for this year. It took a lot of pressure off our water situation, but we need to really save it for what may come in the future.
In Murray, Ben Winslow, Fox 13 News, Utah.
It was a major effort to keep debris out of streams, rivers, and other waterways, and of course prevent flooding.
Take a look at this map. Salt Lake County maintains 58 different water channels, from smaller creeks to the Jordan River. At times during Salt Lake County's flood emergency crews were working 24 hours a day to keep waterways clear and prevent catastrophic flooding. A murder suspect from Michigan who was seen in Utah before being arrested in Montana late last month is back in police custody tonight. Montana law enforcement says Chadwick Shane Mobley was being transported yesterday morning when he removed his own handcuffs and ankle shackles and ran away. This evening, deputies in Sanders County, Montana, were able to re-arrest him. Mobley is accused of fatally shooting a woman in Michigan in 2011.
16 people have applied for an open spot on the Salt Lake City Council. It's for the vacancy left by Amy Fowler, the Sugar House area council member who resigned from office after being charged with a DUI. Under the law, the council will interview the applicants in a public meeting, then vote to choose the replacement to fill out the remainder of her term. That process starts next week.
Coming up, it's been under construction for years, but work on 300 West in Salt Lake City is finally wrapping up. We'll take you there.
And there were several search and rescue missions this weekend in southern Utah. The simple things you should do to avoid putting yourself and others in danger. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. It has been a long time coming, but after more than 2 years, all of that construction work on 300 West in Salt Lake City is coming to an end.
The city says it should be complete in the coming weeks. Fox 13 News reporter Darian DeBrule shows us how the construction has changed that community.
Orange and white traffic cones, faded paint on the streets, all remnants of the long-running 300 West construction project.
I think a lot of people avoided this street for multiple years now.
I honestly would get off the freeway and I would be like, oh, well, welcome to, the front line. I couldn't even get into my own driveway on days, and it was very upsetting.
Over 2 years later, the street transformed into something John Larson, the Salt Lake City Transportation Director, says will benefit all users.
With the rebuild, it still carries the same amount of traffic as it did before, but now it has a protected bike lane. So it's a two-way protected bike path that's on the west side of the road. We added hundreds of trees, better stormwater infrastructure, continuous sidewalks.
But years of traffic trouble due to construction has led to some businesses on 300 West putting up signs letting customers know they're still open.
I know it impacted the businesses on this street in terms of really decreased their traffic.
I would get on the phone and make phone calls to clients because I hadn't seen them. Ones that would normally come in every month and they'd be like, oh, I'm avoiding the area, sorry. Because they would sit in traffic just to get from 13th to my shop for 45 minutes.
Traffic is starting to flow again, but Christina Johnson says other street design choices are still impacting her 27-year-old business.
They got rid of my on-street parking, and so I have to have people park in the back. But right now, since my business is down so much, like 90%. I can't even, put the blacktop in that I need to.
Now that construction is wrapping up, Johnson and Ballpark Community Council Chair Amy J. Hawkins are hopeful the street will soon be bustling with local businesses for the community to enjoy.
I'd like to see what it used to be, have all of businesses and everything here.
And we already see businesses choosing to relocate to this area, establish successful businesses because they know that they're going to be seen here. They're going to be seen by bicyclists and pedestrians.
We're grateful for the incredible local businesses along this corridor that have hung in there with us, and hopefully now we'll be able to reap the rewards of a much improved street for many years to come.
In Salt Lake City, Darian DeBrule, Fox 13 News, Utah.
Well, coming up today, temperatures above average by almost 5 degrees. What to expect for tomorrow and how long this heat will last.
Following his father's footsteps, a Major League Baseball player won the Home Run Derby tonight, 16 years after he watched his dad do it. And Keontae George having another nice game in the NBA Summer League in Las Vegas. The highlights are on the way.
Well, this is the time of year many will head out for a hike and explore the canyons of southern Utah.
It's also when search and rescue find themselves being called out too. Fox 13 News anchor Amy Nay has details on the weekend rescues in Washington County and a warning for all of us.
Okay, he's kind of behind that rock there, isn't he?
People think that it's a good idea to go on a hike, don't realize that they need water, and then they end up going 6 miles and didn't even think to bring water with them, and then we have to go and get them.
Backcountry Deputy Jacob Paul with Washington County Sheriff's Office speaking to me from his truck in southern Utah, out patrolling this Monday.
That's probably our most common rescue that we get.
The number one thing you can do to stay safe while hiking and exploring is by bringing enough water. And this isn't enough. A 16-ounce bottle won't get you through a big hike, especially in the hot weather. In fact, experts say you should have 1 liter of water for every hour. This is a 2-liter bottle, so this is what you should be bringing for a 2-hour hike. Most people don't bring enough.
But they really don't understand how much that they need for some of these hikes.
You still want to go for the flat spot?
This weekend, heat-related illness was part of the reason behind one of their 3 rescue operations. Saturday, 2 men called for help while hiking Pine Valley Mountain, one with heat exhaustion. At that same time, in Water Canyon near Hilldale, a call from 2 lost hikers. And then Sunday, a man falling, hitting his head, needing help after hiking over a ridge at Tuacahn.
All of the ones this weekend were pretty involved in pretty major operations.
UHP's helicopter, now based at the St. George Airport, used in all 3 rescues.
Their helicopter has been a big asset and a real help.
It was 1 year ago in July the governor helped with the ribbon cutting. Deputy Paul says changing how they now operate search and rescues in their region.
So none of the helicopters down here can do hoisting of any kind. So anything involving ropes, they weren't able to do. So if we could land them next to the patients, that was an option, but those situations are few and far between.
Okay, hooking the victim up.
Yesterday, we would have literally had to lower him 400 feet down a cliff to get him to a point where we could take him out to incident command. And
wow.
Ready to climb.
In order to be found by the chopper, if you happen to get into trouble, Deputy Paul says make sure your phone is fully charged and bring an extra battery.
So in the event that you do have to call somebody like us, we can continually get an updated GPS on where you're at.
Also bring something to eat, a light source, layered clothing, but moral of the story, bring water and plenty of it for your next adventure. Amy Nay, Fox 13 News, Utah.
A new report shows that Utah has one of the lowest childhood obesity rates in the country. The Annie E. Casey Foundation found that 1/3 of children ages 10 to 17 in America are considered overweight or obese. That's about 14.4 million children and teens nationwide. But Utah is doing better than most states and has one of the 5 lowest rates in the country at 26%. The highest childhood obesity was found in Kentucky, Mississippi, and West Virginia at more than 35%. Colorado and Wyoming had the lowest rates at 24%.
Utah consumers are seemingly more confident about the economy than they've been in more than a year. The Kempsey Gardner Policy Institute says consumer sentiment rose last month to 76.3%. That's up from 71 in May. The Institute's survey asks Utah residents about their views of the present economic situation, also their expectations for the economy in the future. The director says this rating demonstrates Utah's economic resiliency with low unemployment and strong job growth.
My country, 'tis of thee.
Why are you doing it? Because God's children are not for sale.
The numbers are in. The film Sound of Freedom, released by Utah-based Angel Studios, was number 3 at the box office this past weekend, earning $40 million. Sound of Freedom, based on a true story about child trafficking, opened in 3rd place with that amount of money, $40 million. It's a thriller based on the true story of former government agent Tim Ballard, who embarks on a dangerous mission to rescue children from sex trafficking. Ballard went on to found and continues to lead Operation Underground Railroad, which rescues children around the world.
And you go and rescue those kids.
Can't wait to see that film.
Yeah, you got to put it on your list. Maybe this week it would be a great time to go see a movie and escape this heat outside, Allison.
That's all right. You know what I like to say? Some free air conditioning. Yes. Although some very expensive popcorn and sodas along the way. Air quality forecast also not great for the next couple of days, so any of those indoor activities will be the way to go. Not only this week, but also for the following week. For tomorrow and Wednesday, we are looking at air quality unhealthy for sensitive groups. Also do want to give you a heads up that our UV index for tomorrow will be extreme. So all things to consider, plus we've got another hot day ahead of us for tomorrow. For this evening, mostly clear, a little bit of a breeze, sunny and mild for tomorrow morning. Hot and breezy for tomorrow, also hazy as high pressure continues to dominate the southwest. Temperatures into tomorrow morning. We'll go ahead and we'll fast forward you to Tuesday at 7 a.m. We're going to be about 65 to 75 degrees for the Wasatch Front. We'll see a few clouds down towards Lake Powell, chance for some showers and thunderstorms in southeastern Utah for tomorrow, but we'll keep most of that from about Green River further south. So I-70 south east of I-15 for tomorrow. Chance of precipitation for Ogden the next week is really low, although the forecast data is starting to pick up on the possibility of some isolated showers early next week. We are still too far out to know exactly how that could play out. Not a lot of confidence there, just know there's the possibility right now that some different forecast models are suggesting that. For St. George, same thing, possibility of some isolated showers by Sunday evening. Generally speaking though, the next 7 days, most of the rain will be centered over Missouri and Kansas. Here out west, we likely are going to keep things pretty dry for the next 7 days. For tomorrow in St. George, 104, very, very hot this weekend. Concerned about vulnerable populations, the elderly, children, pets, very hot temperatures, visitors who aren't acclimated to the heat, with temperatures 110 to 115 this weekend for St. George. For the Wasatch Front, 96 degrees for Tuesday and Wednesday, mid-90s for Thursday. Our extended forecast for our chance of precipitation here in Salt Lake, it is dry in the next couple of days. Some very low chances are possible by next Monday, but just a very dry 7-day forecast, and in fact, a very hot 2-week forecast. Take a look at your screen. This is your temperature outlook for days 8 to 14. So for week 2, this will be the 18th of July through the 24th, through Pioneer Day. Above average temperatures with the bullseye on Utah, and in that same time frame, drier than usual conditions for Utah, especially into northwest Utah, Nevada, into California. So my concern here, taking us right up the week leading to Pioneer Day, our next holiday with fireworks, we're going to have a lot of hot and dry conditions leading up to that. So more of the same, more of this, potentially any fires that start could spread quickly. So all things for us to keep in mind as we look at the extended forecast. Overnight temperatures around 70 degrees here in Salt Lake City, but for tomorrow, pretty similar to today, extreme UV index, orange air quality, unhealthy for sensitive groups, and another day in the upper 90s.
The Jazz Summer League team played their second game in Las Vegas tonight against the Timberwolves. Rookies Taylor Hendricks and Bryson Sabah out once again, along with Ochai Agbaji. Keontae George scored 33 points, 10 assists in the last Jazz game. He was good again tonight. First quarter, pulls up, drains the long three-pointer. Then it's Johnny Juzang, open look, and his three is up and good. He finished with 26 points. Here's George, good look inside to Micah Potter. Throws down 2 of his 11 points. Keontae got hot in the second quarter. Ball fake, gets him an open look. Jumper's money, then a deep three right in front of Will Hardy, Justin Zanuck, Danny Ainge, and some Jazz teammates. He's gaining confidence in Las Vegas. Here's another three in the fourth quarter. He scored 26 points, 2 more coming on this tough shot. The Jazz wanted to improve to 2-0 in Las Vegas. Former Bountiful High School star and Utah State Aggie Sam Merrill had a solid game for the Cleveland Cavaliers Summer League team. Knocks down a couple of three-pointers in the first half against the Memphis Grizzlies. Then in the second half, between 2 defenders, hits another one. He was feeling it. Donovan Mitchell loving it. Merrill made 8 of his 11 three-point shots and finished with 27 points in the Cavaliers' win. Real Salt Lake plays 2 matches this week, starting at Sporting Kansas City on Wednesday. RSL's playing great right now. They're 4th in the West after a 4-0 win over Orlando on Saturday. They have 5 wins and they're 2 ties in their last 7 matches, creating a sense of calmness.
I think that calm is confidence, really. And I attribute that to the run of form in the last, whatever it's been, 10, 11 games, whether it's home or away. I think another factor is Chicho coming in. He's brought a lot of quality, a lot of humility to the group. And I think when you have a player that's achieved what he has in this league, coming to our team here in Salt Lake and be just a humble human being, I think that rubs off on everyone. And so I think form, the new additions, and the belief that we can be better than we are is really what's attributing to the calm.
Well, there's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. there in the bottom of the orange hat. He was there when his dad won the home run derby in 2007. Now he joins his dad on that list 16 years later, hitting bombs tonight in Seattle. He's the 2023 Major League Baseball home run champion. The Major League Baseball All-Star Game tomorrow night in Seattle. The pregame show starts at 5. Game's set to begin at 6 o'clock. You can watch the game right here on Fox 13. And Hill Air Force Base is even sending 4 of our F-35s to help kick off the game with a flyover over the stadium. So
that is nice.
Those are our All-Stars heading to Seattle.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
Something about the All-Star Game, just watching it,
Oh,
summertime,
it's so fun. Yep.
It's summer
good
pastime, that's for sure.
That
It is Americana.
Home Run Derby was fun to watch too tonight.
How many did he get?
Well, you do like a bunch of rounds. And the final round, I think he had 23.
Wow, that's a lot.
Wow.
It is.
It's got a good swing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.
We'll be right back. Kelly just got a new kitchen table.
That's right. I did. Breaking news. All right.
Breaking news.
The things that make you happy.
Quick Cast is next.
Stick around.